sprinkling a little bit onto the tabletop. We quickly moved it inside, but I was going to apply a second coat anyway, so it should, cover up little spots that the raindrops left. And I'll be honest here, guys, I am not really impressed with this paint. I don't think I will ever use it again. I don't know, is it the combination of we have really high humidity this morning, and with the, it being exterior paint, a semi-gloss, it's just taking a long time to dry, and I'm really having trouble that it wants to run for me, even if I just apply a thin coat. I've never had that happen with my good old Do It Best brand paint that I always use. And again, it might be the weather, but I probably won't risk it again so far. It's just not worth it to have to deal with running paint. Can you tell in the video here, but the whole top has hundreds of little drops of water, I guess, on it. And I think what I'll end up doing is once the paint has completely dried, I will just lightly sand it and then give it another coat. It should be okay, but I was kind of disappointed in myself because I knew it could happen and I should have just done this under the roof or just waited until a nicer day. Most of the day we had pouring rain here, so this top has been sitting in the shop trying to dry, and now the sun is out again, so hopefully with the sun shining on it, it will dry soon. So I ended up sanding some of it down after it had dried because I had some paint runs, sanded that smooth and repainted. I just tried to apply really light coats at a time, and it just took me forever to paint this table. But now we had a nice sunshine today, and I feel it's really nice and dry right now. And I am ready to sand the edges and distress this piece. And after I am finished with the sanding, I will probably apply the Annie Sloan Clear Wax. That does an amazing job at protecting a finish. I was a bit rushed in finishing this table since I had wanted to use it for that garden party I had featured last week. I did end up using it, but I feel with, again, the weather and the semi-gloss exterior paint, I should have allowed more drying time. To me, it felt a little bit sticky to the touch, not quite like an Annie Sloan Clear Wax, completely cured surface is supposed to feel. But I did end up using it. It turned out okay. And as I'm editing this video, the table even feels better than it did then. I feel it just took some time to cure. I want to work on creating a pretty centerpiece, an everyday centerpiece for this table. And I knew I wanted a table runner, so I found this awesome fabric at Zink's, a local fabric outlet store, and I could tell, by the feel of it, that it lay nice and flat, and I just love the farmhousey, if that's a word, design on it. It's got nice kind of blue-gray stripes. Looks almost like the grain sack stripes. And I will have this runner available on my Etsy shop in case you are looking for a table runner like this. The size I made for this table is 17 inches wide by 50 inches long. I also picked up this little pitcher at a thrift store, and when I saw it, I loved the shape of it. It's cute being clear like it is, but I knew I probably would end up painting it white, so that's what I did with this. I added the word gather to the pitcher, and I will also have this decal available on my Etsy shop in case any of you guys are interested in purchasing any, and I will link all this below. I guess this video is turning out to be a little longer than I had originally anticipated. But when I started putting things together here in the kitchen, I thought it would be nice if that black bench was either painted white or had a little slip cover or something over it. So I decided on slip cover. I've never made a slip cover for a bench before, but I just roughly, measured the top and cut a piece of nice soft drop cloth fabric for the top, and I then made some ruffles to sew around.
Yes, you did.
You didn't just see them bring her out?
Karen don't be loud in that room at night.
Okay, now you just took the whole ride. Just took the whole ride. And I take
Today might have been my most favorite day yet because it is countertop day. Now, before you guys come at me, I hated the butcher block. It had huge gashes. It was from IKEA, so it really needed an update. So I grabbed some Stone Coat epoxy and I decided to make my dream countertops. Now, just so you guys know, I was quoted almost $25,000 for new countertops. Like, absolutely insane. And one of my favorite countertops was called Britannica Gold. It's beautiful, but I could not afford the price tag, especially in today's economy. So I studied the pictures, I read every single tutorial from Stone Coat epoxy countertops, and I decided it was time to finally pour out my own countertop, and here I am. And guys, when I tell you this is jaw-dropping, like, look at this countertop. I cannot. Today might have been my most favorite day yet because it is countertop day. Now, before
Today.
No, same. Never same.
Tehachapi Hills is a single-family home community that's perfect for anyone seeking fresh air, tranquility, and small.
Today's makeover is one that anyone can do. If you're looking for a way to paint wood furniture without sanding or priming and no top coat needed, and it creates a beautiful brush-free finish with budget-friendly supplies, then this video is for you. We picked up these oak end tables from our thrift store for only $10 each. What? They were in great condition, but they were outdated and needed some love. This is the best type of furniture to paint if you don't want to sand or prime. There wasn't any damage to repair, and the original finish still looked great. If your furniture has knobs or handles or anything similar, it needs to be removed before anything happens. This literally took less than 1 minute with my electric screwdriver. And now we have an easier surface to work with. Then we need to clean the furniture. I like to clean my furniture with Crud Cutter because it easily cuts through grease, oils, and grime that can prevent paint from sticking to the wood. Just spray it on, let it sit for a few seconds, and then wipe everything away with a clean damp rag. And then let the furniture dry. Now it's time for the paint. This is Farmhouse Paint in the color Pumice Stone. It's a water-based, all-in-one formula that says it doesn't need primer or a top coat, and that it has ultra adhesion. I mix the paint really well, and then I brush some of the paint onto a few different areas of the furniture. Sometimes the different surfaces are made of different materials, so I like to test it all over just to make sure it will work on the whole entire piece. If you're nervous about your paint sticking to your furniture without sanding, you can paint a couple of samples just like this to test it out before you paint everything. We let the samples dry overnight, so it ended up drying for like 17 hours. And then I scratched at it with my fingernail. Typically, if the paint comes off easily when I scratch at it after 24 hours, then I don't trust it to stick well enough for no sanding or no priming. This paint scratched a little tiny bit, but I had to dig into it to get it to scratch just a little bit. So at this point, I completely trust that it's going to stick, especially after it cures in a month. So I painted the first coat on. I used a zebra round paintbrush to brush it on, and I didn't do anything special to the paint until partway through. I added some water to the paint to thin it out to help it create a brush-free finish. I don't know that I really needed to thin it out, but I really don't like brush marks, so I didn't want to chance it. I love these round paintbrushes though. They are about $10 and the shape of them make it so easy to paint furniture. You can easily paint round surfaces like these legs, flat surfaces, grooves, and details. To help reduce any brush marks, I went over the paint with long brush marks once it was on the furniture. I also watched for drips in the paint and brushed them out before they dried. Then I let the first coat dry for a few hours, and here's what it looked like. It looked streaky and I could still see the wood underneath, but the paint felt really smooth. The first coat always looks so bad with light paint colors, so I really wasn't worried. I also scratched at it to make sure that it was adhering well, and it was. So I painted the second coat on the same way that I had painted the first coat. It covered a lot better this time, but there were still some areas that I could see through the paint still. After the second coat of paint was dry, I saw a little drip on the front of the table, and I couldn't help myself. I sanded that little drip out. I tried so hard not to sand something at all, and yet I cannot help myself. Anyway, I ended up painting 3 coats total, and then I let it completely dry.
Knocked on the door.
The old hardware isn't my style at all, so I changed them out for some cup pulls that I had in my hardware stash. They're the same size as the original hardware, but I felt like the original hardware was a little bit too high up, so I drilled new holes a little bit down further where I could still cover up the original holes. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can see more of our videos. Thank you. Here's what they look like before, and here's what they look like now. These tables are so stinking cute now. The paint seems to be like an eggshell finish, not matte but not shiny either, and I love it. I'm curious about how it is with dark colors though. I scratched at the paint 4 days after